Hi, I'm Stephanie, and welcome to video 7 of 7, Advanced Strategies for Citation. In this strategy, we look at how to use citation to curate a conversation. Here, we're focusing on synthesis. Let's look at this example. The emotional intelligence of the animals we eat has long been a matter of debate with implications for animal protection laws. See Alexander, 2002. Some certainty is now possible with Holmes and Watson's 2005 AQ method for measuring the emotional intelligence of non-human animals. For instance, use of the AQ method to study pigs has led to widespread acceptance that pigs are remarkably intelligent, at least on par with the average human adolescent. Such findings are fueling the work of animal rights activists who are advocating for greater legal protections for farm animals and even personhood under the law. Here we see use of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 sources in the same paragraph. They are not all introduced using integral citation. Many of them are introduced using parenthetical citation. And they're all different sources, but they're put into conversation with each other using synthesis. So let's just look at the roles that these citations are playing here. The first citation, C. Alexander, 2002, is pointing to a study that we can tell from the word C goes over this debate around the emotional intelligence of animals we eat. We can find more information about that debate in Alexander's text. Holmes and Watson, in an example we've seen in one of the other videos, are our only instance of integral citation in this paragraph. And we can see that the choice of this citation, of integral citation for Holmes and Watson, is because they're actually important for this AQ method. It is their method. And so we're identifying the importance of the author in that for originating that method. It's like if someone coins a term, we would say, we would probably use integral citation to identify their name. They're important to this story. The other sources to follow aren't so important, although we could have chosen integral citation if we'd wanted a much longer text. Enola, 2013, is the study that showed that pigs have or it doesn't actually, we're not clear. It could have been the study that led to widespread acceptance, or it could be a discussion of the widespread acceptance resulting from that study. So here the parenthetical citation for that moment is actually kind of ambiguous. We're not sure what we will find when we go and open up Enola's 2013 text. However, we can see that connection between Enola and this claim that use of the AQ method to study pigs has led to widespread acceptance. That claim is strong. Widespread acceptance is a strong claim that needs citation. And so pointing to at least one source that is relevant, that shows that widespread acceptance is necessary. Therefore, we have parenthetical citation at the end of that statement. In the last sentence, we see an example of what Giltro classifies as a chorus of speakers in a list of citations. Here we have kind of a citation density that we're used to seeing in professional scholarly texts. And this list of citations with MacArthur, McQueen, and Lazarus is showing examples of animal rights activists who are advocating for greater legal protections for farm animals. There's all of those examples there are provided for that claim. And then Pipis is provided as an example of somebody who's going a step further and advocating for animal personhood under the law. So we have a synthesis of sources that the writer of this paragraph has choreographed together to tell a cohesive story. Synthesis is integral to active and effective and critical writing with sources. Generally, our instructors want us to write with sources together rather than to treat each source as a separate entity in its own paragraph or moment. And so, in order to move towards synthesis, we need not just read the sources we've gathered, but to think about them together. And so, these are some strategies for you to do that. Can you group your authors that you've gathered in your research notes together based on similarities and differences? Do they address the same issues? Do they take similar or different stances on those issues? Do they use similar or different methods or approaches for examining those issues? Are their central conclusions or findings similar or different? Do any of those lead you to understand how to talk about them in the same breath, how to choreograph them together? You can also look at your cited authors in time. So if we just move back to this example, we can see that Holmes and Watson's AQ method was necessary before these studies led to seeing that, for instance, pigs are remarkably intelligent. It matters that Holmes and Watson's study or AQ method was established and published in 2005, and that Enola's study here came out several years later in 2013, and then that the animal rights activists who are advocating for greater protections come after 2013, between 2017 and 2020. The story adds up. The timeline here works. First, there was the AQ method in 2005. Then the AQ method is used and developed to study pigs and led to widespread acceptance that pigs are remarkably intelligent in 2013. And then animal activists ran with those findings and started advocating for legal protections between 2017 and 2020. The timeline matters in some contexts when you're trying to think about how to choreograph your sources together so that they can speak in a chorus in your text. So pay attention to who is speaking when. Pay attention to any shifts or trends on that timeline. Do people who are clustered around a certain moment in time, do they all tend to approach the topic in a similar way? And so does that say something about the time in which they're speaking? And do you see any interactions between your sources? Do they know each other? Are they mentioning one another? You can also map cited authors in relation to the points you want to make in your own paper, in your own writing. How does your work connect with their work? And are there clusters of sources around the points that you're trying to make in your paper? Can you then talk about, those 3 or 4 sources in relation to that one point you're making? And how can you do that together in a kind of a choreographed dance? Citation is just one aspect of writing. To engage with sources effectively, you need to invest in critical reading skills, strategies for tapping into scholarly conversation, which involves first finding and accessing those conversations, synthesizing information, and summarizing what others have said, and positioning yourself in response. Citation is not simply a matter of formatting your reference list. It is key to effective academic writing.